Operation Status Quo. Operation Status Quo. Prepare to engage. Operation Status Quo. Ready to engage. Operation Status Quo. Engaged. Engaged. Imagine me and you, I do. I think about you day and night. It's only right to think about my audience I love and to hold them tight. Even though I'm not really holding you, but we can hold you tight anyway. Here in my heart, I'm holding you tight for sure. Let's get rid of this nonsensical noise and me singing. I don't know why I'm doing that, but I just, I'm in a giddy mood for you, the wonderful people of the world out there. Hello, I'm Pete Palma, and welcome to Operation Status Quo, where we observe the status quo, and then we learn to flow with the quo as well. Again, I'm Pete Palma, and this is, what is this? Today is the 7th of April, the good year of our good Lord 2023, and of course it's Easter time. It's Easter this weekend. I don't know if anybody celebrates that, or if you know it's Easter. It's Easter, and it's today's Good Friday. So good for Friday. Good for Friday. It's a Friday. I was almost going to call the show today Good for Friday, but then because it's Easter, I decided to go. The Jesus is coming. The Jesus is coming. Remember how they did what's his name, Paul Revere, when the British were coming. The British are coming. The British are coming. Well, instead we got the Jesus is coming. The Jesus is coming. Give me some of that Jesus. Everybody loves Jesus. I sell my baby for Jesus. Yeah. Don't get upset. We're not making, first of all and foremost, this is not about making fun of religion in any way whatsoever. I love Jesus. Jesus and I have a relationship. Can you please stop screaming? It's making me crazy. Hey-o. Thank you. But I know how people get. Matter of fact, I was raised, just to say, I was raised Roman Catholic. I consider myself, at this point, for many years, I consider myself a recovering Catholic. I was even, believe it or not, for as crazy as I am and all the things I talk about, I was actually even an altar boy when I was young. Can you believe that? Matter of fact, I was even the altar boy for my brother's confirmation mass. I'll never forget that. So I was an altar boy, and of course, I still can't walk straight, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a traumatic experience for many years. I did my time, served as an altar boy, and unfortunately, every time I sit down, I'm reminded of it. That's not nice. But seriously, here, on Operation Status Quo, like I say, we observe the status quo of the world, and then we learn to flow with the quo and just to make observations of the world around us and remember how much power we all have inside of ourselves and what a beautiful world this is. And, it's really just amazing stuff, and not just a matter of like how beautiful our world is, because our world is beautiful and abundant, and yet we're kept a lot of times in these little pigeonholed thoughts and ideas, or these little boxes and these little compartments, and they take everything that is good, and they kind of invert it. So that's how I feel about religion. First and foremost, I have a little information to share with you here today, but before I get to that, I just want to make it clear that honestly, religion is a wonderful thing, right? I mean, as far as somebody's looking for something to better themselves, or at least go into a path of some sort of spirituality, I would tell anybody, to me, there is no like one correct religion for for salvation or whatever you want to call it. To me, it's like, it's just the same as whether you're going to travel somewhere and maybe you take a car, maybe you take a train, maybe you take a bus, maybe you go by boat, whatever, maybe you're flying somewhere. So, whatever the case may be, it's just like you would use different vehicles of travel to get to a location. The same thing with religion. You're using a different vehicle. What particular religion resonates or aligns with you, not only just, and just plenty of people who switch from what they were, brought up from, but, obviously if you're raised in a culture, you probably would most likely stick with whatever you were raised with. So anyway, but, so it's all just different means to the same end, and the same end is the oneness and the beauty. And by the way, quickly, just to mention, if you didn't catch yesterday's show with my interview with Colleen St. Michael's, please go back and take a look at that. It was a wonderful interview. She's an intuitive guide and teacher, and it's just shared. We had a great conversation, like an hour and a half yesterday, with some really great information for everyone out there. So positive messages, and so check that out. And as I always say here, please take the time to just click like or subscribe, or share it out to people, and let's help this community grow. Because as I always say, it's not just about me. This is about this Operation Status Quo is a community being built from the ground up, baby. It's grassroots, ground up, and you're on the inside. It's like buying stock to Apple or Microsoft before they became popular. That's what you're doing by getting in on the ground floor with Operation Status Quo. But you know what I mean. I'm here for you, the people. I'm a man of the people. You're the people. We're all people. And what I'd like to do down the line is like what I did with Colleen yesterday, is have more people like that. Like if it's you, contact me and we can have a nice conversation and share, positive messages and thoughts and ideas, and we can embrace each other, because the world is crazy and people are upset, with all these changes, and they don't want to face, they don't want to face what's inside. You got to face what's inside. I mean, that's basically it. You got to face what's inside, when the world seems like it's crazy all around you. You got to face what's inside. So getting back to religion, as much as I appreciate it for, its potential to help people, I also feel that, like anything else in our world, it's been manipulated and twisted, and the real messages have, gone by the wayside, for the betterment of a money-making organization, and not just for making money, but it's pretty easy too to help in the regard of controlling people. When you think about these institutions, these religious institutions that are working with these higher powers that are working to keep us down, it's wow, what a great way to help keep people down by twisting up their spirituality and and pigeonholing them into these little religions and simple-minded ways of thinking. So, but again, it's not about criticizing it. I think if you're into religion and enjoy a religion, whatever it is, then, do it, but always do it with that space of, okay, listen, it's even though, even with the Bible, like, of course it's the word of God and all that. But at the same time, I always say it's the word of God, but it was written by man, and it was put together in a certain way by man. There's gospels that were left out of the Bible that, they didn't want in there. So, Augustine, was that his name? Constantine? I don't know. One of those teens back in the day when, they pulled the book of, there's the gospel of Mary, and there's the gospel of Thomas, and there's something like, there's a couple of them that are never made it in there, and just tell other portions. Again, they take what they want to take and make something out of it. And, and then everybody's supposed to just, believe that. And if you question anything, it's heresy. So that's why it's about spirituality, and you don't have to go to a church for spirituality. You don't have to, give a donation, in the basket, every time you go to church, for spirituality. Spirituality is you and your connection to source, your time with God, however that is, for you. Really more so, realizing that you are God, a part of God. It's all one thing, but more of just, really, what it really is, spirituality, I guess, if I'm thinking about it and trying to say it in a way, it's silence, right? It's silence within, it's space to hear the messages that are beyond you, that are really, the real messages. So whatever you can do for that, you can work on it. I'm sure there's a class. I'm sure there's a class for that. But let's take a quick look here today on Operation Status Quo, the difference between religion and spirituality. So the first thing on this list is religion is based on a book, right? Like I was just saying, it's a book, but it's written by man, whereas spirituality follows the laws of nature. Exactly. I mean, spirituality just is. We don't have to write it down and say, this is what you have to do on Tuesday or any of that type of thing. It's basically the natural laws of oneness. So, and the laws of nature. So, that is true spirituality. When you're sitting out there, I would tell the show earlier in the week about counting birds and how I like to watch the birds and count the birds when I'm out for my walk. That's like spirituality, watching the birds, listening to the birds sing to each other. And, it's beautiful stuff. All right. Spirituality makes you experience glory and heaven. Oh, no, I apologize. I missed this first. Religion fills you with dreams of glory in heaven. So, you go to religion, and it's like if you're a good little boy or girl or a good little trans, one day you will end up in heaven. Even the trans people, I do believe that. Spirituality makes you experience glory and heaven here and now. So while with religion, you're, running around scared every day, hoping that you're doing just enough good to get into heaven, but if spirituality, if you're really a spiritual person, you're experiencing heaven right now on earth. And it's one of the things I kind of mentioned yesterday, when I was speaking with Colleen, and said in the regard of, the way our world is today, it's easy to be scared, or I don't know, whatever, just, and aside from just what's going on and being scared about the changes in our world, just our world in general. And it's like, we're all slaves to this system of what you're supposed to do. And, I kind of detach from that, and, I mitigate. I see what has to get done. I understand what has to be done to, live a life that I want to live. And I'm able to, kind of bob and weave. I'm like bobbing and weaving, like a boxer, bobbing and weaving, and, kind of, don't get myself too entrenched in all that mainstream, normal, day-to-day stuff that bogs you down and, quite honestly, steals your spirituality from you, right? Religion promises heaven or hell after death, whereas spirituality is about finding the Creator from within, us during life and death. So, it's not about a promise of, one day you're going to wind up here or there, based on if you're a good boy or not. Like I just said previously, basically, you're going within, like I said earlier, real spirituality is it's what I said before I even read this thing. And I didn't read this ahead of time, by the way, because I don't do that. I'd rather like to see, what comes out of my brain. There is just one spirituality, but several religions. And that's exactly the same other thing that I said when I first started, is that they're all just different vehicles to the same end. And, you can basically skip all that and walk, right? You don't even need the drive or anything. You don't need any of the religions. You can just walk there, and because you have the power, it's right there within you. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is be with breath, be with silence, meditate, feel your heart space, feel it, really feel it, and you'd be surprised what comes out. Religion has a set of dogmatic rules, and it's manipulative to weak minds. Now, I don't want to say that, so that sounds a little harsh, manipulative to weak minds. It sounds like we're putting people down, but everyone's in a different space, and some people are a little more susceptible to certain things than others. And if a soul is in a space where it is a younger soul, and it's trying to find its truth, I don't want to look at they're being manipulated. It's just a stage they're going to have to go through to realize that religion generally, I know it sounds, but I do believe this, religion's a sham, so it's like, eventually you try a couple religions, maybe it takes you a few lifetimes, and then you realize that, like, that's the spirituality that's within you. You saw, like, when Jesus was around, he didn't have like a church, and he wasn't telling people, he just stood out and talked to people. He was just sharing messages. That's what it's all about. Let's see here. Let's continue on. And don't forget to drop your comments in here if you got questions or anything while you're out there. I'm happy to, hear your thoughts on what we're talking about here. Spirituality invites you to reason about everything, question everything, and to discover and understand. Spirituality doesn't want you to be a little mindless slave that just does what you're told. Spirituality wants you to listen to the messages within, because you're here for a specific reason. You've decided to be here. You're here to for a purpose, a sole purpose. So the more you can shut off the outside distractions, and the more you can find your truth from within, those messages will come out a lot easier. You'll be able to live a more harmonious life, and not only for yourself, but also help people around you, whether you're even if you don't want to help people around you. If you're living an authentic life to yourself, you are helping people around you, because the energy you're putting out to live your authentic life, resonates with the collective. So, you got to look at it that way. It's not just about, you got to think of other people. If you're in religion, you're thinking about other people, right? You know how it is in religion. They go to church, everybody goes to church and prays, and then they get out in the parking lot and they're running each other over in the parking lot, flipping them off the finger. Get out of my way. We got to make it to we just got done church. Now we got to go somewhere. So, F you. And I know it was nice in church, but we're in the parking lot now. So F you, that's like how crazy it is what religion Religion threatens and scares. Spirituality gives inner peace and happiness. Religion speaks of sin and guilt. Spirituality says learn from error, right? And think about that in religion. You have to go to, especially Catholic, you got to go to confession and tell this priest who's been, molesting kids his whole life. You got to tell this priest, that, I was I did this, I did that, and he's going to absolve you, while, oh my God, I was really ready to say something. I'll say it. What the hell? Because this is Operation Status Quo. You know how while he's sitting there masturbating in the booth, over the stuff you're telling him, he's going to absolve you from your sins when you say 3 Hail Marys and an Our Father. Hey-o. Yeah, he's got your back. He's got your back. So that's what they do, though. It's sin and guilt. And you have to feel shame. But, spirituality, learn from errors. We're all here in this earth school, and we're all learning, and we have situations in our life purposely so that we can learn and grow. And, and that's what it's all about. And spirituality is happy when it's like, oh, I did that. I made that decision, and I see how that turned out, and and I turn it, now I know in the future I'm going to move in this direction with a similar situation. I mean, that's what spirituality wants you to do. Religion is human. Spirituality is natural rather, without human rules. And again, that's true. Religion is all about the human element. It's the human hand trying to take spirituality and crush it down into a little book that tells you got to go to church every Sunday, right? And I'll tell you, by the time I was 16, I was able to get my mom, to stop taking me to church, because I would just misbehave so badly in church that she was just so embarrassed that it wasn't worth her time to try to, I was pleading to her since I was like 10, 12. I kept saying, I hate this. I hate coming here. I feel so dirty in this place, but she believes in it. So that's, she wanted to keep taking me, but I was able to get out of it by 16, which was nice. And I never looked back. So I think the only time I ever wind up in a church now is for a funeral or a wedding. And, a funeral, I'm a little more understanding towards. Even with the weddings, I tell people, I plead with people, I really don't want to come to the church. So I'll just show up at the reception. I just not interested in being in there and that environment and that energy. But people give me a hard time, and then I'm a jerk if I don't show up, so it is what it is. You got to try to be nice to people too, I guess, a little bit. Religion is the cause of divisions, whereas spirituality unites. And that's simple. I mean, think about all the wars that have been fought over religious idealism and all that kind of thing over the years. And, spirituality is just talking about, like I would say it, like it's what Operation Status Quo is all about. We're all one, and we just work together and create a beautiful community without judgment on one another. We have just a few more here, ladies and gentlemen. Religion makes you passive. Spirituality transforms you and makes you active. And right, if you have religion, it does make you passive if you think about it, right? Because you figure, okay, I'm a whatever. I go to the services. I observe the holidays, I do this, I do that. But like, what does that mean? Just because you do those things, like what, it's passive really, right? I just belong, I'm part of it. Yeah, it's in my, but if you're spiritual, you are active. You're actively, if you're engaged on a spiritual level, and looking at life through that way, you're engaged. You can't not be engaged because it's not spiritual if you're not. I'm just realizing this myself as I'm reading it, 'cause it makes a lot of sense. Religion kills to impose its dogmas, again with the wars and trying to say what's right and wrong, where spirituality leads to wisdom through knowledge, right? So in the same type of thing, you gain wisdom. That's not about and this is the thing too, the main crux. There is never any one answer for anything. Truth is truth ultimate. Source is source ultimate. But in this world of duality, in this physical, life, there is no one answer, And again, because everyone is a soul on their own journey, and they're going to need different physical manifestations in their life for the lessons they need to learn. So, what's like they say what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Well, not all the time. I mean, sometimes the gander needs something else. And what the hell is this gander doing? Have you ever seen a gander? What the hell is a gander? Hey-o. All right. Continuing on here. The Jesus is coming. The Jesus is coming. Are we having a good time here on Operation Status Quo? Please let me know. Let me know if you like the flow of the quo, yo. Religion says God is in the heavens, separate from creation. Spirituality teaches that God is in us, and not just in us, I mean is us. Like we are literally creations of source. We are the drops, right? The drops of water in the bucket that create the whole pool. So, that's basically what it is. Let's see here. I missed where I was. I apologize. Yes. Last one. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen. Religion says that God elected a people called Jewish people. Spirituality knows that all people are equal. Okay, I don't know about that last one so much. I don't want to go down the road of saying anything. You can't even say the word Jew. It makes everybody upset. I don't want to say Jew. I'm sorry. No. I didn't say Jew. I didn't say Jew. Please. Stop it. Get out of here, please. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I apologize. All right. We're okay. You have breached the decency level. All right. Seriously. So that's it. I just wanted to give us some information, some food for thought there. I'm not criticizing religion, your religion, whatever it may be. I've had my experiences with religion. I get it, but, again, same thing with the Bible. I know people want to, they get hardcore on the Bible, and I would not say anything negative about the Bible. The only thought I would offer is just to remember that although it is a beautiful book and beautiful messages, it still was, transcribed by man, and it's still been, manipulated and twisted a little bit. So I'm not saying it's not accurate. I'm not saying the messages aren't true, but I'm saying it's not 100%, of what it was intended to be. I would think I don't think it's written the way Jesus would put it together. Let's put it that way. The Jesus is coming. It's Easter. What are you guys doing out there? What are you doing for Easter? Drop some comments. Let me know what you're doing for your holiday. Or if it's Passover, whatever's going on.
Heyo.
Is it Passover, or is that what happens during oh no, Hanukkah's during Christmas. Why do I even have to say so? I mean, I could have kept that in my head, right? And instead of making a fool of myself trying to think about Jewish holidays. But anyway, did I say Jewish again? No, I didn't say Jewish again. No, I didn't say it. Please, I didn't mean it. No. You have breached the decency level. All right. That's it. I want to thank you guys for being here with me today. Seriously, have a great holiday weekend, whatever you celebrate. And just remember out there, it's not about criticizing religion. It's not saying don't enjoy your faith and be part of your faith and your community with your faith. It's just more of seeing a bigger picture. Don't lock yourself into it's got to be, I got to be this or I got to be that or this rule or that rule. Follow what your heart tells you. Maybe some parts of your religion are great, and other parts you realize something doesn't jive here. Like for, a good example is with the born again Christians, I think I've met a group of them during a time in my life, and I went to some services, and I really liked the way they did their services as far as it wasn't like a Catholic mass where it was just regurgitating the same crap every time. They actually read passages from the Bible and had discussions, and people came up and sang songs, and it was actually a nice environment. But the thing that always got me was they kept saying, if you don't accept Jesus as your personal savior, you're going to hell for all eternity. And that's the stuff that just turns me off. I'm like, so what are you telling me? You're telling me God's going to send you to hell for all eternity because you didn't accept, you didn't say, I said, well, I believe in, I would say I believe in God. It's like, well, you believe in God, but you got to believe in, you got to say Jesus. You can't say God. I'm like, how ridiculous is that? Right? I mean, Jesus is God. We're God. It's all God. I don't make any sense. And what was the other part of that? I was thinking they would say, if you don't accept Jesus, you're going to hell. Yeah. And then on the other side of that is you could be the most evil person, your whole life, right? Just F people over, whatever. And then you could be laying there on your deathbed about to die and saying, I accept Jesus Christ as my savior. And now you're saved. Congratulations. Now you're saved. You fucked over everybody for 50, 60 years. But now you said Jesus with your last breath. And congratulations, you get to go to heaven. Does that make sense?
Heyo.
Not, not, and I don't, to me, there's no heaven, hell. It's just levels, whatever karma you create, everything has to balance out energetically. So, it's not about no one's going to hell for all eternity. It's not like just go heaven all eternity. I mean, it's all mixed and back and forth and levels and, until eventually when everyone wakes up from the dream of believing there is separation, and then poof, that's when the physical world goes away and we're all back to the oneness, and that'll be a beautiful time. I don't know when. It probably already happened, obviously, because everything is really just one moment in time. So, we'll just have to catch up to it when the time is right. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a great weekend out there. I really, really do. And, I love you guys so much. I really do. I love you individually as well as a group. Of course, like I say, you're my people, and I love my people. Don't forget to please like, subscribe, share, send this out to all your friends, your family, those you love, those you despise, and let's stay together. Drop your comments in here. Let me know. You want to come on. I got plenty of slots available for you to come on and share your beautiful special self with the world here on Operation Status Quo. So I'm Pete Palma, Operation Status Quo, where we observe the status quo and we learn to flow with the quo. And let's just keep flowing, because that's the only way to go. All right. God bless each and every one of you. Have a great, great weekend. I'll be back with you real soon. Operation Status Quo disengaged.